Are you sure you're free? What else would I be doing?
Hey guys, this is Jeff, aka 101Bronson here today. Bronson month has officially kicked off. Well, it hasn't officially kicked off with a watch party yet, but it is now November, and I plan on uploading this one on November the 3rd. I am recording it on November the 1st, but on November the 3rd, this will be up. And since it's Bronson month, I thought I'd recommend a handful of sort of like more obscure, underrated, forgotten Bronson titles for like the general fans, like the die-hard Bronson fans. They will know every one of these titles, I'm sure. But even still, if you're a die-hard Bronson fan, there might be one in here in this stack that you might have missed or that you might have skipped or whatever. But sort of for the general sort of Bronson fans that, you know, they might have seen Death Wish, they might have seen Once Upon a Time in the West, you know, films like that. It's more popular work. His canon films. I don't have a canon film in this stack for good reason, because canon films, the canon Bronson films are some of the most popular ones. But yeah, let's get started, shall we? I have 10 films here on various releases that I recommend. This is the earliest Bronson film that I do recommend. Sort of a forgotten one. It's a Western. It's not a Bronson starring film, but he has a significant part in it. He is actually the main villain. And I think Paul Talbot, the author of the Bronson books, which are Bronson's Lose and Bronson's Lose Again, was sort of a big authority on Charles Bronson. He knows a lot of stuff. I mean, it's check out his books if you haven't. I do recommend those books as well. It's recommended reading material for Bronson month. Anyway, no, the first one I recommend is from 1954. Don't let the German title kid you. This is Drumbeat with Alan Ladd and Charles Bronson. And I forget at the moment who directed this film. Delmar Davies, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just quickly check up on that. It should give the information somewhere. Yeah, Delmar Davies. That's who directed it. But no, this stars Alan Ladd, like I said, and Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson plays like this Native American Apache sort of leader, tribes leader, captain, or whatever you want to call it. He's called Captain Jack. And Alan Ladd is pretty much sort of sent to deal with him because he's sort of been terrorizing the area where he's in. It's actually a really good film. I actually like it, and it's from 1954. It's not in black and white. It's actually in color, and it's a very good film. And Bronson plays a great villain. He's already very early on, and displaying his cool physique that he had throughout most of his career. He was always in great shape. Bronson was. This here is a German media book. Let's see if we can find a cool picture for you. I guess I will do. I mean, there he is. Bronson as the Captain Jack. He actually stole like a captain's jacket from like a cavalry officer. It's a really good film. Recommend. Drumbeat, 1954. Now let's move on to like the late 60s, early 70s. It's European period. I think in this European period, there's most of his sort of underrated stuff for me. So sort of the more under the radar, obscure stuff is when he did his films in Europe. And the film he did in Europe I recommend the most, well, besides Once Upon a Time in the West. If you haven't seen it, I mean, if you haven't seen it, guys, what are you doing? Check out Once Upon a Time in the West. But no, the film besides that I recommend the most from the European period, it has to be Rider on the Rain for me. Such a cool I mean, look at this, is the original poster. I wish I had this poster like somewhere on my wall. I wish I could get a official or original sort of poster for this, because this is a cool design. Bronson, you know, being all tough, all manly, manhandling this poor woman in the poster, which doesn't quite happen in the film. Something similar does happen to this image, but not quite, you know, how it's depicted here. But still a cool poster. Probably one of my favorite Bronson posters, if I'm being honest. But no, this is with Charles Bronson and Marlene Jobert, who was actually the mother of Eva Green. I actually found that out not too long ago. She's the mother of Eva Green, yeah, Bond girl Vesper Lind. Bronson starred with her mother in the 70s, yeah. Anyway, great film. It's a thriller. Bronson is sort of this very mysterious figure, which he usually is in films. who comes into town after this woman has shot a would-be rapist. Oh no, I think he actually does succeed in raping her, so she's been raped, and then the woman shoots the attacker and disposes of the body, and Bronson is sort of on the trail of that guy, and he sort of plays a cat and mouse game with her, you know, trying to figure out what happened. He already suspects from like the first instance that she had something to do with the guy's disappearance and possible death. But it's a great film. It's a great cat and mouse sort of thriller between these two. It's a French film, but you can easily watch it with an English dub, and I do recommend it because you hear Bronson's amazing voice in the English dub, obviously. But yeah, I do like Rider in the Rain. So, and here's another one that I think is grossly underrated. I also do recommend Farewell Friend from 1968. Didn't quite make this pile, but that's another good French European Bronson film. But no, I do recommend here Someone Behind the Door, and I do have the Blu-ray for this one on the German media book, but I grabbed my old DVD just because to avoid confusion, because this has the English title obviously on it. But yeah, with Charles Bronson and Anthony Perkins, again a great sort of thriller, where Charles Bronson plays, and he's showing off his great physique right there, where Charles Bronson plays an amnesiac who sort of gets washed up on his beach. He doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know who he is. And you have Anthony Perkins, who plays sort of like this neurologist, brain doctor, and he sort of tries to help him, quote unquote help, Bronson find back his identity, but he's got an ulterior motive. So, and also Jill Ireland is in as the doctor's wife, who has something to do with the ulterior motive. But yeah, it's a great film, I recommend it. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. Try and track down Someone Behind the Door. This used to be sort of in public domain, I guess. You used to find tons and tons of copies of this. They even had the full film on YouTube for a while. I don't think it's on there anymore, but this one was on YouTube for a long while. That's the first place where I saw it before I purchased a physical copy back when I was really getting into Bronson. But yeah, Someone Behind the Door. And this is also a great film I've always found underrated, and this is the German media book. This is Cold Sweat. Actually, the German title translates to Cold Sweat, so that's good. Well, no, Charles Bronson, Liv Ullmann, and James Mason in this one, and a ensemble of European actors. I mean, right here in the back, Bronson is wrestling with, and showing off his biceps, I might add, but he's wrestling with Luigi Pistelli, who I know from like tons and tons of spaghetti westerns, and also from the odd few giallos. But yeah, Cold Sweat, directed by Terrence Young, who directed some Bond films. Not that one, but he did direct some of the best ones. That isn't that one. He directed Dr. No, From Russia With Love, and Thunderball. So great director, great sort of ensemble cast. And again, it's another great sort of thriller where Bronson is sort of a man who has a checkered past. He lives with his wife in the south of France, I think, in hiding, sort of. And then his past catches up with him in the form of James Mason. And it sort of turns into a great thriller from there. But no, it's a great film, and it has a great sort of car scene. Not necessarily a car chase, but a great car race scene, I guess. A race to the clock sort of scene with a car, which I highly recommend checking out just for that scene alone. So Cold Sweat from 71, 72. It says 70 on the back, but I think this was probably 71, I think. And here we have another Terrence Young film. This is a Western, Euro Western. I do recommend this one a lot. This is another one that sort of gets forgotten by some people, but Red Sun. I mean, just look at that cast. I mean, ignore the German title again, but just look at that cast. I mean, Charles Bronson, Toshiro Mifune, Ursula Andress, Alain Delon, who also was with him in Farewell Friend a couple of years earlier. But no, this is a great Euro Western. I mean, if you want a reason to watch this one, even if you're not into Westerns or whatever, Ursula Andress appears naked in it. There you go. There's your reason for seeing the film. Yeah, Honey Rider appears naked in it. So anyway, well, at least topless. I don't think she appears fully naked, but at least topless, which is it's good. Anyway, from one Western to an next is also one that can be considered a bit of a Euro Western, and it's one that I've always found underrated, and sort of, it wouldn't make my top 10, but it would be very, very close, like maybe at like the in my top 15 Bronson films. 1972's Josland, directed by Michael Winner, his first film with Michael Winner. And it's one that's so great. It's sort of like a predecessor of First Blood, where Bronson plays a man who shoots a sheriff in self-defense. He plays a half-breed Native American um, 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 Apache. What was it? Um, I don't know what tribe, but he plays a half-breed Native American who shoots a sheriff in self-defense. And then Jack Palance, who co-stars, he is sent to lead a posse to go after Bronson, but just like they do with Rambo in First Blood, where they sort of have people after him, they don't realize that they're actually being hunted instead of, they're hunting, in this case, Chato. So great film. I mean, this is the first collaboration between him and Michael Winner. It's worth seeing, just to see where they started, and it's already, you can tell it's a Michael Winner film in this one because there's a rape scene. But yeah, no, Bronson is in his peak sort of physical condition. I mean, throughout the entire 70s, man, he looked great, whenever he took his shirt off, which was, actually, if you go through his films, it's quite often that he takes his shirt off. But hey, if I had a body like that, I'd take my shirt off as many times as I could as well. But yeah, there you go. Josland. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Won't keep you for much longer. I do have a couple more titles, but we're going to sort of breeze through these as much as we can. But another underrated one for me that the more casual Bronson fans might not necessarily be familiar with. They might have heard of it, but it's The Stone Killer, 1973. I think this is either the second or the third collaboration between him and Michael Winner. I think they did The Mechanic in between Josland and this one, so this might be the third. But this is the one before Death Wish, which would come out a year after. But yeah, The Stone Killer is pretty much Charles Bronson's Dirty Harry film, 70s Dirty Harry film. Look at it. The tagline says this cop plays dirty, which this came out 73. Dirty Harry was 71. This was definitely sort of an attempt to get in on the cop thriller bandwagon, with Dirty Harry and stuff. But it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one. Nothing interesting on the back, unfortunately, but we do have a booklet in this cool release from Indicator. But yeah, The Stone Killer, recommend it. Actually, I've sort of have a history with this one. I didn't like it when I saw it the first time, but it grew on me. And I do really like it and recommend it nowadays. So. Alright, so I'm recommending a variety of sort of films here. This is a more light-hearted film, more of a love movie even. Ooh, dare I say it? But no, it might be a little bit, sort of a tragic love story maybe. It's not all lovey-dovey, there's some other elements to it, but I do think this is the best collaboration between Charles Bronson and his wife, Jill Ireland, that they ever did together. This is From Noon Till 3 for 1976, which is a sort of comedy western. Like I said, even has a bit of a love story going on. But no, this is the best film between Bronson and Ireland. The chemistry is just through the roof in this film. I totally buy every minute of their sort of relationship in the film. Obviously, because they were husband and wife. Was there much acting for them involved? But no, really, I do really recommend this film. If the sort of the title and this sort of poster art puts you off, don't. Just check it out. It's really, at the heart of it, it's a really great story. I think even Bronson himself at one point, when he was alive, said it was one of his favorites, if not his favorite film. Simply because he had such a sort of great chemistry with Jill on screen in that one. And according to sources, this is sort of like the closest that Bronson got to acting like his sort of natural self. Apparently, this is how Bronson sort of was in real life. The sort of character he plays in this, like very laid back and stuff, which very interesting. But yeah, From Noon Till 3. And here's one. The last two that I have here are some that I always just found very overlooked. Dare I say underrated again. Even though, again, just like with The Stone Killer, I had a history with this one, and I'm going to show where I didn't really necessarily like it or get it at first, but it is a film I think that warrants multiple watches because it sort of is a complex sort of mystery thriller, sort of noir sort of film. But no, it is also from 76. It's St. Ives with Charles Bronson and the beautiful Jacqueline Bisset, how you pronounce it. Um, Also with some great sort of character actors in this one. You got Harry Guardino, who was in Dirty Harry with Clint. Harris Yulin, who of course was in where is it there in Scarface as a corrupt cop, Mel Bernstein. Dana Alcar, Maximilian Schell, like I said, Jacqueline Bisset, and the score by Lalo Schifrin, who also did the Dirty Harry films with Clint and a couple of others. Lalo Schifrin, great composer. This actually feels a little bit like a Dirty Harry film with the style and the music and everything. But it actually is sort of a different role for Bronson because he's sort of more suave, more sort of sophisticated in this one. He dresses sharply, he has always some nice suits and stuff on. And it's sort of a mystery thriller where he plays a former crime reporter, now turned writer, who gets hired by this rich guy to act as a go-between to sort of make some pickups for documents and cash. And from there on, it sort of gets very confusing to sort of explain the plot and stuff. You really have to watch it to, and by the end, you know, it probably will click with you or it won't. And if it doesn't, you definitely need a second viewing. It will make sense on subsequent viewings. But St. Ives, yeah, I do recommend it. He actually plays a character called St. Ives in this one, Raymond St. Ives. So it's not that it's set in like a St. Ives location or whatever, but do recommend it, St. Ives. It's like I said, it's one that has grown on me over the years, but now I do really rate it highly. I do like it. So, and the last one, this one badly needs a Blu-ray release. Love and Bullets. Now where From Noon Till 3 might have been my favorite Charles Bronson Jill Ireland collaboration. Ironically enough, this one is one of my lesser ones. I do still like them both in it. I mean, Jill Ireland is a little bit annoying with her Southern Belle sort of accent. She's sort of from down home in this film. She's all the way here with her voice. She's trying to be like Dolly Parton, with her big sort of blonde wig. So if you can get past Jill Ireland doing a terrible Southern accent, or an annoying Southern accent in this one, the way she does it, but if you can get past that, it's actually a really good film. Also with Rod Steiger and some other great character actors in here that aren't featured on the DVD credits. But yeah, also music by Lalo Schifrin. So I do recommend this one. This is sort of a more travelogue sort of Bronson film. This one stars out in Phoenix, Arizona, and takes place primarily in Switzerland. Beautiful, like snowy mountain locations and stuff, which I'm a fan of. So yeah, I do recommend Love and Bullets. Like I said, it's another one that sort of flies under the radar. Actually, yeah, it doesn't even have a proper DVD release with a sort of good transfer. I actually have a Dutch DVD double feature of Love and Bullets and Maximum Overdrive, which came in like a very tiny slim case. So I actually made my own cover. I used the original poster art for it, and I just put something on the back about the plot description and stuff. This is actually a cover that I did for this film. But I mean, I have heard now that Shout Factory or Shout Select in the US is bringing out St. Ives on Blu-ray, along with another film that I could have easily have thrown in here, Telephone from 1977. Those two films, Bronson films, are finally getting Blu-ray releases, so I might be able to retire my St. Ives DVD now, but and my Telephone DVD for that matter. But I just hope Love and Bullets will one day get a Blu-ray release, because it's actually a really good film. It's not the greatest Bronson film. I don't think it would be in my top 15 or not even maybe top 20. But if we're talking underrated films, this one for me definitely deserves to be in there. It's definitely one that I do really enjoy, and I do recommend to check out if you haven't. You know, it's always good to see some more Bronson. Anyway, those are my sort of 101Bronson recommends, a couple of underrated or spotlighting the underrated Bronson films. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for some cool watch parties. We got a couple of great ones planned. Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm always nervous until the last minute, you know, for cancellations and stuff. I mean, obviously it can happen. I mean, if you know, something comes up, you know, that's life, obviously. But usually until the last minute, until I'm there with the guests and we can hit the click live, you know, go live button. I'm always sort of like, well, you know, there's always still a possibility that's going to be canceled. But as it is looking right now, we're going to have some great watch parties. We got a couple of the Death Wish films planned, Murphy's Law, Messenger of Death, and Mr. Majestic will kick off Bronson Month on tomorrow, as I'm going to be uploading this on the 3rd, and I should say on tomorrow on Saturday the 4th. My good buddy and my frequent sort of talking movies collaborator, one of them anyway, my buddy Dan from Dan's Movie Cave is joining me for Mr. Majestic on Saturday the 4th at 9 p.m. for me, 8 p.m. for the UK, for my people in the UK, and I think that should be like afternoon or maybe even morning for my American and Canadian friends. But anyway, yeah, do hope you guys enjoyed my my Bronson recommending material sort of video here. Like I said, I do recommend also as reading material. I recommend the Bronson's Loose books from Paul Talbot, who is a very, very knowledgeable man on Bronson. He wrote 2 fantastic books on Charles Bronson. But anyway, that's all you got from me today. That's it for now. Anyway, guys, keep punching. Stay tuned for more. Stay safe and healthy, all that good stuff. And keep it Bronson this month, because it's Bronson month. Hey. Take care, guys.